Hi, folks. It's Dr. Christine Sauer here with your quality of life healthy alternatives. And today I'm extremely happy to be with my friend Rachelle Babler. She grew up in Southern California near the sunny beaches of San Diego. Who doesn't want to be there now? She has always been an explorer, traveler, musician, and a creative soul. And she was a forensic technician. Who thought that a woman could do it and so well? But in 2017, she quit her job, and she'll tell us why and what she did from there and how you became now an author, TEDx speaker, and so much more. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Being here. So, Rachelle, no one is listening. Isn't that a matter of our time? Who is listening nowadays? Maybe not even anybody to this podcast.
I know, right? Yeah. I think people nowadays are listening with the intent to respond, but not to just truly listen.
Yeah. And actually, research from 2016 showed that the human attention span is shorter than that of a goldfish. The goldfish has about 8 seconds, the humans about 6. And I bet by now it's 5 or 4.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
And social media doesn't make it better, and the world events.
No.
So tell me, what happened for you? You were a forensic technician, explorer. Seems like your life was all set and perfect.
Yeah, right. So I grew up in San Diego, as you'd mentioned, and after high school, excuse me, I went to college, and I always wanted to help people. I was a student trainer in high school. I became a student trainer in college. I took CPR, first aid, like I was a lifeguard, and I got my EMT. And I was an EMT for a year. And an EMT, excuse me, gives basic life support. You know, they are in ambulances, but they're very limited in the medical training that they can provide, in the medical stuff that they can give to a patient. So then I went to paramedic school, and that's when you learn advanced life-saving skills. So then I could start IVs, I could give medications, I could intubate, all those things. And I was a paramedic for 6 years, and the contract negotiations were coming up for the city, and many of us were going to lose our jobs. So I went back to school. I took a forensics course, and I got hooked in forensics, and then I transitioned into forensics. So I worked for 2 law enforcement agencies here in San Diego for 20 years, and I conducted research. I was traveling all over the country, speaking at forensic conferences and events. And in 2008, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it was a really rare brain tumor. And during that time, it really launched my personal development, and really working on my mindset, my health, everything. And part of that was meditating. And I started meditating daily, and then it was, progressed to where I was meditating a couple times a day. And at the height of my career in forensics, I was flying back from a forensic board meeting back east. And on the plane, I just knew it was time for me to do something else. And I went back to work. I gave a 2 weeks notice, and I quit my job. And I had no idea what I was going to do. But I knew intuitively, I knew it was the right thing to do. And I was 46 years old. A lot of people said I was having a midlife crisis, and I wasn't. It was a midlife awakening. I really knew that there was something else for me to do. So that began my entrepreneur journey, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, tell us a little bit more about what happened that day when you were diagnosed with a brain tumor. How did it get to there, and how did you know that something was wrong?
Yeah. So I think, I can say, and I can speak for many people, that we know our bodies well. We've lived with our bodies our entire life. So we know when something starts to ache or something feels different, like we know something is, to maybe tune into that more. And I was pregnant with my second daughter, or my second child. It was my daughter. And in my third trimester, I was starting to experience severe vertigo. So I was having dizziness, like these dizzy spells, really bad, to where it would like take me to the ground. And I went to my doctor and they said, well, it's probably, you get pressure, you get a lot of swelling when you're pregnant. And I was pretty big in both my pregnancies, and there's pressure like in your ears, and it's probably causing some sort of an imbalance. But when you have your baby, it'll probably go away. So I had my baby, and about 8 weeks after, within 8 weeks, I was still having those vertigo episodes, and they were getting worse. So I knew something was wrong. I'm like, I've never had vertigo. I had it once when I did have like a vestibular imbalance from like doing a dive off a diving board, but that resolved itself. But this was like different to me. So I went to my doctor. She referred me to an ENT, ear, nose, throat doctor. And they wanted, after doing an evaluation, they wanted me to do physical therapy. They thought it was a vestibular imbalance, and that doing physical therapy and manipulating my head would probably make it better. But I just intuitively, and this is what comes from meditating, like your inner, it's meditation to me is strengthening that inner voice of you and your intuition of like your gut feeling. And so I told the doctor, I said, I wanted an MRI and he didn't want to give me one. And so we went round and round and round, and finally he decided to order one. And I had my MRI, and he called me and he said, well, we actually found something. And that was when they found that I had a rare brain tumor. It's 1% of all brain tumors. And
let's stay there. Now, at that moment, what did the doctor say to that? Did you say, we found something, you were right?
I think my guess is he was like really, he was not wanting to make that phone call because I was so persistent in it. But, also I had a medical background being a paramedic. And I think sometimes when you do have a medical background, the doctor listens to you a little bit more for some reason, maybe not, but you can use terminology and language to maybe persuade them a little bit more. So he called me, and I think he was like, oh gosh, now I got to call her and tell her that she was right. She was right.
And she was right.
Yeah. And, he told me a little bit more, and I said, I hope next time you really listen to your patient, like I knew something was wrong, and I'm glad it was done. And I, appreciate you ordering the MRI. Now we know what it is, but, maybe next time just slow down and take a little time to listen to your patient.
What did he say to that?
He didn't say anything.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, no, I think he knew, and I didn't want to really I think he knew without even me saying anything, he knew that he
got away easy because it was found in time.
Yeah. So
how did that affect you when, wow, I do have a brain tumor?
Yeah. So my former, at the time, I was married at that time, and he was a firefighter. So he was at the fire station for 24 hours. So I was home alone with my newborn and my 18-month-old. I had my son as well. And, I have to say that night was a really dark night for me, because I went down the rabbit hole of, I'm going to die. My kids are not going to know their mother. It really scared me. And so that night was really, I'll never forget that. It was really a challenging night for me.
I can very well imagine. How long did that last until you found a way to go forward?
So then that started the journey of going to doctors and seeing what they were going to do with it. And that that led to a lot of inconsistencies with what one doctor would say, what another doctor would say, what another doctor would say, because my brain tumor was so rare, not a lot of doctors had treated it often. So,
how did they diagnose it in the first place? Because now on the MRI, you see the structure, but you can't say exactly what it is. There's something there that's maybe growing,
Yeah.
that takes some space in the brain. But as a radiologist, when you see that picture, you don't know, is it a cancerous tumor? Is it a
Yeah.
tumor that just takes space? What is it?
Yeah. So
How
they
did they
told
find
me
out?
I had a facial nerve schwannoma. So it's
How did they know?
from the MRI. That's what they
Oh,
told me. And that it's really between on the right side, between my right ear and my brain. It's like sits right there. And my doctor said typically they're benign. So he said they're very slow growing. A lot of people have them for 10, 15, 20 years and don't do anything because they grow less than 1% a year. So he said, really, it's a monitor and see. So we're going to do another MRI in like 6 months and then, see where things are at. Well, because I had so many inconsistencies, like with what type of treatment to do, I just decided to like really start taking care of myself. Like I changed my eating habits. If you were to tell me to eat dirt and it would make it go away, I would have eaten dirt. Like I would do anything to like, make this go away. So I really changed my eating. I went to a holistic doctor who took like an approach incorporating like Western and Eastern medicine. And I started doing that. And then when I had my MRI, it grew almost 40%.
wow.
And that was when they were thinking that it maybe was cancerous, and they couldn't biopsy it because it's like right in the middle of my head. And, it would have caused so much damage and it's so risky to do it. So I ended up going to Stanford Medical Center, and I saw 2 doctors up there to get more opinions on people who had treated it more. So, and they had recommended CyberKnife radiation to me. So when I came back from Stanford, I told my doctor, she submitted the paperwork to my insurance and they denied it. And then that started a whole nother process of really trying to get the treatment that I needed for my tumor. And there was, this controversy a bit, I guess you would say, with my insurance company thought CyberKnife was a new type of procedure. And it wasn't like, it just hadn't been done. It hadn't been around very long. But traditional radiation would have done a lot of damage in my head. So CyberKnife is very pinpoint radiation to just treat the tumor. So in areas like your head, your spine, where there's lots of nerves and lots of really important things, you don't want to do traditional and radiate the areas
that makes
around
absolute sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can focus that, it's better.
Yeah.
But
So
insurances think of this alone and not of their clients' or patients' lives.
yeah. So that's why I was really pushing to get CyberKnife. All the top doctors I'd seen they said absolutely, hands down. And so then I, really that was when I had to start self-advocating for myself. I mean, I kind of self-advocated from the beginning, but going through the process of appealing my insurance company, I got an attorney to help me just do the legal paperwork. I had done all the research. I had all the documents. I had everything from the doctors. And he submitted my paperwork to the state to appeal with the health department. And then on December 31st of 2008, I found out I got my, treatment, or actually it's 2009. I got my treatment approved, and within weeks I had treatment done.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And did it work? That's the next question, of course.
So I have my anniversary next month. It'll be 13 years.
Oh.
And so, the first 5 years, they monitor it every year. They do an MRI, and the tumor decreased in size like year 3, 4, 5, and then it stopped growing. And then 5 through now, it hasn't changed. So my doctor is not worried about it. So yeah, it worked out great for me. But I was, I don't like to take no for an answer when I think I'm right. So
Rachelle,
I was
when I hear that
persistent.
story, I really think this tumor and you advocating for your treatment, especially at your young age, it did not just help you, but your whole family, because 2
Yeah.
children depended on their mother to be healthy. So
Yeah.
the insurance denying you a very effective treatment at first is really ridiculous when you look at it.
Yeah, and this was the thing that didn't make any sense. The treatment I was advocating for cost way less than what the treatment they approved.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it
That's
made
hard
no
to believe.
sense. And, my attorney was amazing. He, he looks at the denials and he looks for loopholes to see where he can argue. And, one thing that he did put in my appeal was that I knew my body and I knew what was best for me. And I think they really took that into account. And, I'd done the research, I did everything. And that's one thing when people ask me, like, how do you advocate for yourself? And it's really, you kind of have to really become aware of your condition. You need to, seek different opinions and get those and get everything in writing. And then you're kind of like building your case, so, and being that I was in forensics, I have attention to detail on everything because of the cases that I'd work and having to really make sure that there's no gaps anywhere. And, and I wouldn't say no. And I remember my neurologist who treated me and he said, I've never seen somebody get the treatment that they needed. He had, suggested CyberKnife to many patients for this particular insurance company and they denied it. And he's like, you're the first person. And he's like, can I send patients to you if they need help? And I'm like, absolutely. I can share what I did, but I really think it's just not giving up. And when your gut and intuitively, this is the best thing for me, don't give up.
And Rachelle, I think that is a very important lesson that you learned and that you can give to everybody that's listening. So let's first repeat it. What are the 3 steps you recommend to everybody that has a feeling as something going on in their body?
Yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is start taking notes of what is going on, because if you do need an attorney to appeal or help you on your behalf, they're going to want what's called a timeline. And a timeline is a timeline of events. So get a blank, 3-binder notebook or whatever, and just start writing down the date, the time, and then what happened. The date, the time I spoke to this person, this is their name, this is the phone number, and what happened. And just everything that comes up that's related to your condition, just carry that notebook around with you everywhere and write it down. That is really going to be powerful if you are going to be appealing or, doing any type of litigation with your condition to, for whatever it is that you need. So having notes is really important and being organized. And then I would say, I always took somebody with me to my appointment, because when you're the patient and you're diagnosed, you have a lot of emotions that are involved with things. It's so good to have somebody else come with you and be an outside perspective and to take notes for you so that you can be present and engaged with the doctor. So I had a friend who was an ER nurse and she would come with me. She had a medical background. I highly suggest you bring somebody with a medical background. It just is more helpful, I think. They don't have to be, but it can be helpful. And then have them just take notes for you, and you can be present and not, have to worry about other things. And then, but between the two of you, you're going to be asking probably good questions. And then the other thing is just really become aware of your condition and do a little bit of research, find people who have had your condition or find what's worked for them, or look into the different treatment options. There's so many podcasts now where people interview people with conditions. I'm in an advocating group in San Diego here where we have all had to advocate for our health in some way. And many of the people in the cohort have lupus, and lupus is a very challenging condition. But, I do podcast outreach for clients, and I see all these podcast interviews with patients with lupus and what's helped for them. And I share that with my cohort, but there's a lot of information now, more so than there was when I was diagnosed. But I remember I found one guy who wrote about the same tumor I had. Like he wrote a blog on it. So I got so much information from him. So yeah, I mean, I would say do those things are really helpful for you if you're going to have to advocate for yourself in some way.
Yeah, that's especially important if you know what you have and you
Yeah.
just can't get the treatment that anybody that was helped
Yep.
recommends, especially when it's top doctors. Come on, from Stanford, they recommend a treatment and your insurance says no. That's an obvious case. But
Yeah.
what if somebody just has something's wrong with me? I'm not sure. The doctor says it's all in my head. I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a hard case.
Yeah. And that I would say go get multiple opinions and find the doctors that are experts in what condition you think you might have. Like, is it GI? Is it, maybe, whatever the case it might be, like find the people in your area that have good reputations. You just call and ask, like, who's a good doctor for this? And people will tell you. And go see them. When I went to Stanford, I had to pay out of pocket to go see those doctors. It wasn't cheap, but that helped me in my appeal. I really think that going to Stanford is what made them reverse the decision.
Mhm.
And I think that was probably one of the major things that really helped me in my case.
Yeah, and the end result is so important to keep in mind. You want to get healthy.
Yeah.
But if that is an important point too, it's not just to keep on living with whatever they say you have to live with, but sometimes there are solutions out there that
Yeah.
whoever just treating you may not know about. And it is true. We can know about more than we used to ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even had challenges within my close family and friends who were like, why don't you just get that treatment? Like, they're going to pay for it. Like, why are you fighting this? And then I had the challenge and struggle of like people around me who were questioning me. And, that was another layer that was on top of me already going through all these things. So, with that too, just like really try to drown out the noise. And, again, if this is right for you, it's your body and it's nobody else's body. They're not living with it. You are. And just stay the course and just stay focused on what you need to do.
Now, Rochelle, you're also a musician.
Yeah.
I heard you play the guitar, right?
Yeah.
And you experienced considerable loss and grief too, combined with advocacy. Do you want to talk about that for just 5 minutes so we can maybe add to the podcast when it comes on the website a video of the song you made?
Oh yeah, thank you. So in 2018, my sister passed away from colon cancer. She was 48 years old. She was diagnosed at the age of 46. And, she was, her symptoms were initially not taken seriously because of her age. And when she was
too young to have cancer, right?
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that?
Yeah, I know. And then she was diagnosed stage 4. So she had an aggressive, advanced stages of cancer. And she passed away. And then unfortunately, my dad had many health issues the last year she was alive, and he passed away 4 months later. And that year was really challenging. And yeah, I write music. I do music. Music has always been a part of me, but I have a band in San Diego and we play like gigs at, local dive bars. And I started writing music about 6 years ago. And the day after she passed away, I wrote a song about her cancer journey. And I ended up using that song to create a lyric video to bring awareness to cancer, colon cancer, so that people would get screened. Because as I'm sure you've seen, so many people skip their colonoscopies thinking they don't need it, but they don't realize that colon cancer is slow growing. And many people who have colon cancer don't even have symptoms in the early stages. So that's why it's important to get screened to see if there's something there so that there's prevention and any treatment that needs to be done initially.
That is so important. I know here in Canada, we get the FIT test, which is a stool test.
Yes.
It's easy to do, but every 2 years we get the test in the mail. Now,
Yep.
how easy is it? But still only about 30% of recipients actually do it. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah. And I will tell you, seeing somebody who went through 2.5 years of fighting colon cancer, it is a horrible, horrible thing to watch, especially with your loved one. And it's the most treatable cancer out there when it's caught early. If they catch it early, most likely you're not going to have a lot of problems with it. If it's caught late, that's when it's really challenging to beat. So these tests are so important. And those, fit tests are like, you do it at home, mail it in, you like get the results. I mean, it's really easy. And the colonoscopies, I have mine in 2 weeks. My next, I got one when my sister was diagnosed, and now I have my follow-up. And it's really not that bad, but again, you're really doing just a service to your body by getting that screening done early. And when I created that lyric video, I wanted people to connect to my sister's story and bring awareness to colon cancer and why you should get screened. And that's, spiraled into me working with the Colon Cancer Foundation, the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. And it's been great because it's been a part of my healing journey with my sister's passing. And, knowing that I'm carrying kind of her legacy in some way and sharing her story, and that, if we can help save one life, then that's all I need to do,
That is wonderful. And I love that you're doing that. And I will be glad to share that video underneath that this video where we are talking. And of course, a link. And I also, we were talking, you said you're making it kind of as an entrepreneurship journey to create music videos for other people that may be interested in your beautiful voice.
Yeah. So what I did with my sisters, and people will watch when you put that link there, is it's really advocating in a different way. And it's using your story to advocate through music. So your story in a song, and then messaging around that with what you want to bring awareness to. So my TEDx talk that I just did a month ago was on the power of advocating through music. Yeah. So that was my idea for the TEDx stage, which was, how can you advocate in a different way that can be extremely powerful, combining advocacy and music. So that's what I'm adding to my programs. And I'm really excited about it because I really think that we can use our voice to connect to others through song, because we know music is very powerful, and we can't even explain why at times, but it doesn't matter. Like, when you go to a concert, what other people believe in or their religious beliefs or whatever, we're all there connected to music. So if, connecting music and sharing, something you're passionate about, I think is very powerful. So I'm excited to be doing that for others.
Wow. Yeah. And that's such wonderful passion and purpose, really.
Yeah.
I love music myself. Of course, here is my fake guitar. I have a real one. This is a fake background for everybody that hasn't noticed it, that's watching that video. I'm real, Rachelle is real, and her guitars are absolutely real. But I have a real guitar, but I'm not half as good as singing and playing the guitar. You won't see me much on video with my guitar because it's not as remarkable, but it's fun. And I know the power of music. And when I sang to my children just a German lullaby, oh my God, it's wonderful. I sang it to my husband yesterday, and he said, "Oh, that's so calming and soothing."
It is.
He's right. It is.
It does change things. Yeah, it is amazing.
It changes feelings and emotion and can be healing.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Rachelle, to wrap that up, how can, if anybody's watching that and wants to connect with you or listening to it, how can they connect with you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, my website is www.rachellebabler.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn under Rachelle Babler. And
can you spell that just for those that have a hard time listening?
Yeah. So my email is Rachelle, RACHELLE at Rachelle, RACHELLE, Babler, BABLER.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you and sharing the power of healing with music.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
When you combine modern science, ancient wisdom, nature experience and love, magic happens. I'm Dr. Christine Sauer, physician, naturopath, coach, human. It feels like magic to my clients when their lives are transformed through the skills combination of natural and human sciences, ancient philosophies, and caring human-to-human interaction. Discover this kind of modern wizardry and let's prepare powerful healing potions together. Come and enter our wonderful world of wellness.